Promise guys, I mentioned on my last video, it's probably about a month ago, that I will be installing on this Motoped a rear brake, regular brake, and here I have. This is my caliper. It's the double caliper from Brembo, okay, and this came out of a KTM. It's a front brake caliper. And the reason that I choose the front brake caliper obviously is because the Motopeds, they have the chain on the opposite side as a regular dirt bike. So I'm gonna be installing this very nice Brembo front brake on my rear. And quick, I noticed then this flange is a little too wide, and it's gonna be mounted from the inside of the original mount system, and I'm gonna have to cut it with the grinder, but I'll be showing you guys exactly how I do and how it gets done. Any case, then anybody doesn't know, that's gonna be hard to shut this video part, but what you want to do is you're gonna take this cap off and put fluid until it comes to the top. Then you want to press your brake pad, your foot brake, sorry. You want to press your foot brake 2 times and leave it pressed. And then you want to crank the bleeder valve open. And then you're going to tie it back up. Then you're going to release the pedal. Then you're going to press it 2 more times, hold it down. I'm going to come here, going to open the bleeder, going to close the bleeder. Then you release the pedal. And you'll repeat that until you get a nice straight up shot of fluid. Then you know that your line have no air, your caliper have no air, and that's how it looks. So that's my rear Brembo foot brake. The line are already in because actually I didn't have the chance to shut the video from the beginning, but I don't want to skip any parts, so the lines are in, and I'm gonna go a little bit of backward and show you what I did. Okay, so this is the front brake caliper, which on a dirt bike is going this way. I'm gonna put it up. It's going this way, basically just like the one over there. It goes from the inside like that. But on my bike, I'm installing it the same way. But obviously, I'm gonna show you guys right now on the video. Then if I put it on the outside here, the caliper doesn't line up, the brake pads, they don't line up with the brake rotor at all. So what I had to do is mount it on the inside, just like this. But the problem that I had before I shot this video is this flange is a lot wider, and what was happening, it was touching my rotor before this will sit in it. So what I did is I'm gonna set this guy here, and as you guys can see, I put this upside down on a vise and very straight, so this thing won't be you know, sideways like that, because then the brake pads, they will be braking on angle. I took and I cut this flange that is about another 1/4 of an inch wide, and I slide it right through it. The only reason to do that is so right here it wouldn't touch my rotor. So now I have the clearance. Having that clear, I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna put this tripod, okay, right there. After I do that, and I have my clearance, I'm gonna set this in. There we go. Okay, after I have my clearance, I had another problem. And the problem is the holes, the slot right here for the brake, they were a little too small. So after I line up my caliper and it wasn't touching anymore, I came here and I marked this hole and the other one, took the caliper out, drilled through So I will be able to get my 10mm screws dropped into here. But the next issue is this pin, and one on the other side is for the caliper to float. So when you press the brake, it can center itself out into your rotor. And if you guys can see right here, this guy will come up forward and straight down back in here. So after I put it in, I mark it with my Sharpie, and I took a round file and I filed these off. So now this part right here will clear up so these can float in it. I'm gonna Okay, here we have a close look of the foot pegs that I got, right? Most of you guys have watching the videos before, and if you guys remember, I flipped this bracket around, drilled it with 1/4-20s, tapped it with only 2 screws. It's been working fine, very strong, no trouble. So what I'm doing right now, right, is I'm gonna fit the master cylinder. Right here I have the master cylinder, okay, and right there is the little eye fish thing, or whatever it's called, for measuring the minimum and the maximum amount of DOT, the brake fluid. And I got a 35 inches braided red brake line to match up some of my stuff. And the position on this is gonna be right here. And if you guys remember on the prior video, I took these little fins that they were attached right here on these foot pegs, because they are set up for a motorcycle where you don't want your foot to go on the chain. We don't have the problem. But what I'm gonna be doing with this is I'm gonna be cutting it right here somewhere, which I will show you guys. And I just pre-drilled my first hole for my caliper, and I'm gonna be using just the upper part of this, like that. And the foot peg right now is higher, but what that's gonna happen is this is gonna be attached here, and that's gonna be attached there, and this, when the foot peg, the brake pedal goes down, it's gonna push my brake up. So I'm already setting it up. It's a pretty much a straight line down, and the Kickstarter completely cleared this up. So I'm gonna leave it here for a moment, and I'm gonna tap this right now. And turning it in a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can pick the camera high. Okay, temporarily I'm setting it up with a longer screw, and eventually I have a space obviously on the back, so I'm gonna have to make a spacer with some kind of a tubing, aluminum, anything. It could be a stack of washers. I'm not gonna do it with a stack of washers because I don't want it to look cheap, but I'm gonna use something there to space this up. I'm just setting it up right now. So I actually don't have 1/4-20s, but these they almost thread in, and I'm not really pushing it. That way I can drill my next hole. And this one have a space to adjust, so you don't that's the reason that I drilled the top first, because now I don't need to be that precise anywhere. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use the center of that slot. I'm not gonna go to the top or the bottom. That way I don't you know, lock myself up into like a hole that I'm not gonna be able to use. Okay, so the hole is drilled. Now I'm gonna tap it. Now I'm gonna use the other screw. just to have a positioning on this. And like I said, this now moves up and down, so it's gonna help you to align the upper one very well. Okay, so I have it pretty much with the space, so now I'll be able to measure from the flange to the back of the master cylinder and make my spacers. And I'm gonna take this guy and cut it right here and drill another hole, because if I drill only one hole, it's gonna teeter-totter like this or spin. If I drill two holes, it's gonna lock it up. And I'm gonna move the camera back, and this is gonna be inside there and over just like that. So now I'm taking this close shot, sometimes to see, you know, better detail. I kind of butchered this up, I really did. Yesterday, rushing it, I knew that I was touching the bracket there, but it's not gonna rust because it's aluminum. But this one is need to come off, obviously, because I'm not gonna use the cable operated anymore, and I'm not gonna need the spring because the cylinder, the master cylinder, is gonna push down. But right there I have it pretty much set. So this is gonna be attached right here, and I gotta drill another hole, because when you press the brake, this gonna want to spin up and down like that, and instead to push the master cylinder up. So that'll be this side, and my line is gonna go have a, it's got a I don't know, maybe a 20-30 degree angle. It's just, and then when I'm working out perfect, it's gonna go over. And I have these bushings, so one of these is gonna be inside here, so I don't get any aberration, just in case. And I have another one, and the other one is probably gonna be on the other side. And instead to run the line over there like I show you in a second, it's gonna be away from heat and everything. The tube is rounded, and obviously nothing can be abrasive on a round surface like this was a sharp edge on it. And because of the line, how it's built, by the way, this one I purchased it online. I got it from eBay for $5, I believe. It came from China. I will give you guys the information of the seller. It took only 5 days because it says e-package, and I believe when it says e-package products, they come in really quick. But before, the way that I had it, I will have to run it upward because the bend on the line, and it looks really weird. It will come up the wheel. And right now, if I run it this way and I have that little extra, it'll be running right here, and I'll be able to roll it up like this, which I'm gonna put it on right now, even though I don't have the washers, but you guys can get an idea. It's gonna run over right here, perhaps from the inside of the swing arm, because it still be far away from the wheel, and right over. So actually, this is just an attempt to show you guys how different ways to run it. I don't think I want to run it on the outside of the swing arm. I'm gonna tack it under and on the inside, because it's most unlikely to get it hit with the wheel. Then on a fall on this side, get the brake line cut on dirt or a rock. So actually, this is the next promise that I made. I mentioned that I will be purchasing a larger motor, and now that I have you know, really good brakes, I just ordered my Piranha 150cc electric starter, and here we have it. So this is gonna be my new motor on my Motoped. Okay, here I have the clutch that I ordered, the clutch cable for the rear clutch device. This is gonna hook right here under, just like that. have a ton of adjustment, and it clips right here. Just like that. Okay. And we have the shifter, the kicker, the gaskets, the intake manifold. And these have a position where it says YX02. It goes on the bottom, and it uses one of these flanges and one of the gaskets. Got the screws for it. And here I have a Cahin 28mm slider carburetor that's gonna go with the motor. I'm going to try to do this video on a few parts. One, it will be taking apart my bike and removing the coil. I'm gonna have to take the seat. I'm gonna have to take the tank. I'm gonna have to take. I have a tachometer here for my RPMs, and all this is gonna be stripped out. But I'm gonna leave all my original wiring because I can reuse it. And then after I mount the motor, I'm gonna make another video with all the wiring and how I run all my wires under the tank all the way through. I'm gonna be able to take this off. You guys gonna be able to see where I have my battery and my light system and all my switches. Okay, so I'm gonna go and upload the video with my brake, and then next week probably I'll be doing a video with the motor installation and the wiring. Talk to you guys soon.